Are you gonna be a podcast puppy? Are you gonna be a podcast puppy? Are you the podcast puppy? Hello, welcome back to the Knit Anxiety podcast. My name is Marissa. I'll be your little less than last time anxious host. This is episode 2. Date of recording is January 18th. Yeah, so first video has been out for a whole week. Hopefully this time there's a lot less ums. Hopefully I look at the camera a lot better now. So let's hope that the reconfiguration worked. I got my new little chair. That's not helpful. This new little chair that should be perfection for recording and all kinds of stuff. It's a perfect little addition to my knitting corner. So let's get started. So first on the agenda is FOs. I have one FO, finished object, for those who don't know. And it is my Italian autumn cowl, which turned out beautifully. I'm not gonna put it on right now because Mike, and it's very warm in this office. So, but it turned out fantastic. You see all those colors, the teal and the variegated, and then the gray. It turned out great. It's super squishy. It's fantastic for these cooler months that I'm in right now in the Pacific Northwest. So that is perfection. And the details for that is done out of the Arcane Fiberworks 8020 Merino Nylon DK in the colors teal, adventure weights, and dark gray. I did that on a US 10 or 6mm needle, and I used 407 yards, which was all of every last bit of the remaining skeins that I had of this. So it's fantastic. It was the perfect size for a single wrap cowl. I will 100% be making this again. It was fantastic. TV and observing or watching my husband play video games knitting. It was garter stitch and eyelets. Fabulous. Will do again. 100%. Next would be works in progress. So start with the big one. And that is my rendition of Helen Stewart's Habitation Throw. I 100% do not have the pattern. I just looked at the pictures and kind of riffed it from there. So I'm kind of recalling it the garter eyelet blanket. Mine has built-in I-cord stitches on it and everything. And as a reminder, all the yarns I'm doing it out of are Sorella yarns, a mix of their classic sock and nylon sock base. I think the classic sock is 100% superwash merino, and then the nylon sock is either 80-20 or 75-25. And I'm holding multitude of oopsie full skeins with a whole bunch of minis that I have from a bunch of different mini sets, actual collection sets, or like oopsie minis. And I think last time I showed it, I was on this kind of olive green mini, added in the light pink, and now I'm on this dark pink. And it's coming along really well. I'm nearing the end of, let's see here, nearing the end of full skein number 3, I think. And once this is done, I will be increased as wide as I need it to be. The next full skein will be just to add extra length, and then I get to start decreasing. So with any luck, with how this is going, I will be done with this by my birthday in April, which would be awesome. And I'm doing that on a US 8 or 5mm needle. Come on, that's the only one. Come here. Be the podcast puppy. Come here. Sorry, I gotta readjust myself so that my pup, this one, can sit in my lap. She's the podcast dog. Are you good now? Okay. So if you see a little head pop up, that is my pup Rosie. She is very demanding. Demands to be touching me at all times. So we shall see how this goes. All right, so next on the whip list is my Musselburgh. And not a whole lot of progress since last time. I think it was like about here last time. So yeah, a couple inches. I only work on this when I'm at my day job, like working. So it doesn't get a whole lot of love, but it goes with me to and from the office, and I work on my lunch breaks or that last like half hour of the day when I have nothing to do. So, or those meetings that just take forever. That's really good time to do that. This yarn is the colorway is Puppy Love by the Blue Brick on their Killarney sock base, the Husky size, which is 500 yards per skein, and I'm doing that on a US 2 or 2.75 millimeter needle. Next on my whip list is my brick block blanket. I'm crocheting. I think last episode I think right about here, so I've only added like half a repeat of the colors, not much, but it's coming along really great. I'm super happy with how this is coming out. I totally did not explain properly in the first episode what is so special to my dad and my family about this kind of stitch pattern, you could call it. My great grandmother was a crocheter and she made blankets for all of her grandchildren, and this is a very similar pattern. And my dad lost the blanket that she made him years ago, so like 8 or so years ago, when I picked up yarn again and started crocheting for the first, really like getting a hold of crochet, I kind of found a picture online that looked like what she used to do and kind of re-engineered it. But then obviously 8 years later, I couldn't remember how to do it. So I went looking for an actual pattern for it. And lo and behold, I found the brick block blanket by Tids, and I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna try and butcher it so badly. So I've been doing that. I love the stitch pattern. I do modify it by what I call anchoring the treble stitches. If you don't, you get these really big holes on the back, and I didn't want that. So, but yeah, that's coming along really good. All those yarns are loops and threads impeccable. The 100% acrylic. I'm doing that in white, black, teal, blue moon, and aqua. And I'm using a Prim H hook, which I think is 5 millimeters, 5.5, 5 millimeters. So that's a brick block. And the next whip I have, and I can only show you part of this because it is a mystery, but clue 1 has been posted by the designer, so I'm okay to show that part. This is the start of my Keep It Secret, Keep It Safe MCAL, designed by Nicole Larkin York of Carmen Thread Fiber. This is my first ever mystery knit along, and it is terrifying as someone who has control issues, but it's really forcing me to let go of the control and trust the designer. Luckily, I know the designer, so I trust her implicitly. So it's not too terrible, but it is definitely testing my limits in terms of the mystery, and I don't like surprises either. So every single clue is a surprise. I don't know what's going on, and that really tests my patience. Or not patience, but it tests my controlling nature. And I'm doing that out of, let's see here, the Knit Pex Wool of the Andes Superwash Worsted in the color Mineral Heather. It's like a beautiful blue red marled so much that it looks like purple, and I'm loving this. It's a bit more rustic than I'm used to, but I am really enjoying it, and I'm really excited for this to be done so it'll be like a big hug. It'll be great. I'm doing that on a US 9 or 5.5 millimeter needle. Next one is my socks, which have progressed quite a bit since you last saw them. Yarn everywhere. Last time you saw them, they were like half cuffs. Now they have toes. I'm nearly done with the heels. Next episode, these will be an FO for sure, and hopefully I will be wearing the hell out of them by then. You can see this, like, the stripes. The yarn is like striping in a way that it like lines up between the two socks. I don't know how that happened. It just happened. It's really freaking cool. I'm really happy with it. And I was doing this with the Vanilla Sock on Magic Loop pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady, but then, for lack of a better term, I got a wild hair up my ass and decided that I've knit socks for other people in my family that were afterthought heel, but I've never made some for myself that were afterthought heel. I've always done a heel turn and gusset for myself for some reason. So I'm like, why not try these as an afterthought heel, like in the SOS sock pattern. Can't remember the designer, but I'll link that below. So I'm took like my it's like a amalgamation of all those socks because I'm trying to find like my ideal sock, like vanilla sock recipe, I guess you could say. And so far, a mix of just because of this how crazy the skeins of yarn I have are. I like to do a vanilla sock, not a pattern sock, because it obviously gets lost in the pattern. So I'm doing those. I'm super excited for those to be done. And let me see here. What are those yarn details? So that's being done out of Sock Obsession Yarns, Resilient Smooth Sock, which is a 75/25 superwash merino nylon in the colorway Hades. And I'm doing those on a US 1 or 2.25 millimeter needle. And then there's the whip that's in hibernation timeout. Might be frogged. I can't decide. I'm really, really, really torn on this one. And I tried to put it to the Discord server I'm part of, and I couldn't really get any help. So if you guys have any opinions, please put them down in the comments because I need assistance with this. This is my Goldfish Memory. You might recall I'm making this to kind of commemorate the first IRL in real life meeting of me and my friend when I eventually go and see her this year. Because like my favorite color is purple, hers is gold, so I'm like, okay, I'll make a shawl that combines both. But I've worked up like the first section, and I hate it, and I can't decide or to figure out if I hate it because it's the gold and the purple is a really, really dull purple, or if it's because of the pattern, like because the pattern like changes colors all the time. I really can't tell. Like these are all the colors. And that's pretty color accurate. Like it's a pretty orangey gold, a very dull blue purple, and then this variegated that's mostly gold with some green in it and orange and very little purple. So I'm like, I have a really, really hard time looking at these colors and being like, oh yeah, I love that. Not only that, but I have less yardage of the variegated because it's a smaller, the yarn comes from the same dyer, but this one is a different base. There's less of it. And doing the Goldfish Memory is going to require a whole lot of weirdness. So I'm contemplating tearing that out and either destashing the gold and the variegated because they're not my colors. They're really not. And if I don't like the color, I don't foresee myself finishing the project. I just don't. Either that or maybe making it into something else, something that's a little bit less structured, maybe something that's just garter stitch, because then I can kind of hide things a bit better with the garter stitch. Like maybe, like I mentioned last episode, the Groove Light shawl that might be an option, possibly. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That would be really, really helpful. And the yarn details on that, all of those yarns are Cape May fibers. Two of them are one of a kind colors. Cannot be. I got them in a mystery bag. All the three yarns in a mystery box. So, and one of them is called Sunny Morning. I think the variegated is the one called Sunny Morning. I'm not entirely sure. And the two solid yarns are an 80/20 superwash merino, and then the variegated is an 80/10/10 merino cashmere nylon. And I'm doing that on a US 8 currently. Probably go down needle size if I go do some other project with it. I'm really, really torn on this one. So give me your thoughts. That would be super helpful. And then I actually have a new cast on because I need a lot of projects going at once, apparently. I found out from a coworker that they are expecting a baby boy. Didn't even know they were gonna have a baby, but suddenly there's a baby. So and the people I work with, when they have babies, they get baby blankets. That's just how I am. I like the people I work with, so I like to give them things. When this coworker told me that they were going to have a baby, I asked them what color they wanted, and they said green. I'm like, okay. So my immediate instinct when someone tells me they're going to have a baby is that I go on like a commercial website like Joann's, Michaels, and look for a variegated or shades of or ombre kind of commercial, basic, easy to clean yarn. Just because I don't typically keep those kind of colors, and most of the time when people give me color, it's a color I don't use most of the time. So I was looking at like a couple of things from Joann's, and then I realized like, wait a minute, don't I have worsted weight green? Like I know I had some left over from doing my dad's blanket for Christmas, and I have a whole row of green in my stash. surely I have something I can put together into this blanket. And then I was again searching for patterns and being like, wait a minute, I really liked doing this one pattern for the other baby blanket I did a couple years ago. So why don't I like go home and check my stash and see what I got? So I found a bunch of yarns in my stash and then had the pattern in stash. So good on me for that. But at the same time, I'm having this issue where I don't know if like I've started it. Like this is how much I have of it. And it's really pretty, but I I don't know if it is the shades of green that I'm working with, if it's the pattern requiring too much of my brain right now because stress levels are high. I don't have the capacity to do a lot of things that are complicated, and like anything, even with stitches, is too much right now. So I'm stuck. I'm really stuck right this. It's like, is it the pattern that's too much? Is it the colors? So I'm considering ripping out the work that I've done so far, which is a couple hours, so it's not that much work, but I'm strongly considering ripping it out and using one of those random number generators or whatever, or random color sequence generators to kind of decide for me what sequence I do colors and then just do like a basic corner to corner garter stitch blanket out of it. That way I can use the yarn I have in my stash and also do something that I'm not going to hate every second of doing. Because, there's that whole thing of whatever emotions you're working when you work the stitches gets put into it. And I don't want that. I don't want that in a baby blanket. So very likely going to do that. So kind of sucks that I've started it. Now I got to restart it. But at present, that pattern is the Painting Honeycombs by Stephen West. I'm using all yarns from stash. One of them is the Loops and Threads Impeccable in color Guacamole. And all the other ones are Paintbox Simply Aaron in the colors Slate Gray, Slate Green, Spearmint Green, and Racing Green. And those are all acrylics, and I'm working that on a US 8 or 5mm needle. So in time out right now will likely be something else next episode. Content warning, we're getting into the weight loss and anxiety stuff. So if that's not your jam, feel free to dip out. No hard feelings. So the weight loss stuff. Some pretty serious shit has happened. One thing is going to be talked about more so in the anxiety section, but basic kind of check-in stuff with the weight. My lowest weight in the past week was 255 pounds, which means that I have lost 36 pounds to date, which is amazing. Is that a third of my goal? I can't math. I think it's a third of the goal. Yeah, that's over a third of the goal. Holy crap. I didn't even realize that. Non-scale victories this week, this in the last 2 weeks. I had to buy new pants today. I had to buy new pants in a size I have not been since I was in high school. Literally in 12 years, in a matter of like 6 months, I have shed 12 years of happy and stress and anxiety weight, which is insane. Either that or my body composition has changed enough that my lower half is the size it was during like at the end of high school, like when I graduated high school. I literally cried in the dressing room. And I bought some more freaking shirts, went down a size in those too. It feels really fucking weird to be in clothing so much smaller. The other thing I noticed, at least, especially with like the socks that I'm making right now, I think they're going to be too big. Like, I think I'm going to have to start making smaller socks too. Because I have like 4 pairs of socks that are going to be too fucking big now, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's like, cool, that means I can possibly get 2 pairs of socks out of a ball of yarn instead of just 1.5. Some of my training improvements, my hack squat has gone up to 105 pounds. Previously, my hack squat was about 60 to 70 pounds, something like that. I managed to do 2 chest dips, assisted chest dips. I'm not that strong. Oh my God, no. And that was hard. Assisted dip machines are terrifying. Whew, that was scary, but I did it. I did 2 full chest dips. That was really, really fucking hard. Some thoughts from this past week. With how busy the gyms are right now, it's really hard for me to get the motivation to go because of how busy it is. And I will get into that a bit more when we get into the anxiety talk because some shit happened this week. But I do want to pat myself on the back for getting myself to go. I went Thursday, Friday this past week, but Monday night I was like in a scroll hole and managed to talk myself out of the scroll hole and into going to the gym. So kudos to me. Kudos to me for being able to talk myself out of a scroll binge session or whatever and get my ass to the gym. So that's fantastic. Current favorites in terms of helping with the weight loss, Fairlife Nutrition Plan protein shakes. My husband even likes them and they're lactose free because Fairlife is lactose free by some fucking miracle. And he even likes them because it's basically like drinking chocolate milk. Yeah, Fairlife Nutrition Plan protein shakes. Go get some of those. Not sponsored, but go get some. Anxiety talk time or anxiety check-in time. I've decided that I need to include a level or scale or whatever every time I do these recordings because of how much in order to quantify how I'm feeling. So I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no anxiety, things are smooth sailing, 10 being full blown anxiety or panic attacks. The past week was an 8. This week for anxiety was really bad. And I mean bad. I think I had not full blown panic attacks, but really close. I don't call massive crying sessions panic attacks, like, because I can control them. Like I'm just letting the emotions out. But when I have full on panic attack, I can't stop it. It just goes and goes and goes and it is 20 minutes easily of bullshit. It's the only way I can put it. Just bullshit. This week, 8 out of 10, not great. I think I had little crying sessions 3 or 4 times in the past week. One of them literally yesterday before I left the office. So some of the triggers this week, shame. So for those who either don't get anxiety or um for not for those who don't get anxiety, but if you are someone that doesn't quite understand anxiety, um or at least the kind that I have, um like I said in my last video, I do a lot for other people. I do very little for myself. Because I do so little for myself, when I decide to actively do things for myself, I feel immense shame for doing something to take care of myself, which it sounds so fucked. The fact that there are people like myself who do things for others and then when they try and do something for themselves, they feel immense shame is some bullshit. It really, really is. Like, I feel immense shame not stepping in at work to like make sure someone else doesn't have to deal with a complication because something wasn't communicated to them. Like it like I feel shame not babysitting an adult. Like that's fucked. They're an adult. They can deal with it. And I feel serious shame when I don't just do it for them or I don't notify them ahead of time. Like, or I feel immense shame setting a boundary or taking care of myself. Like a big part of my anxiety with my weight loss and all this is that I feel shame for taking care of myself, for focusing on myself, for from what my shame driven brain thinks is abandoning my husband. Like I went from being the one who cooks, like cooking for both of us and make like and buying groceries for and everything for both of us to I don't cook for him anymore and he's subject to whatever groceries I buy. Like I'm not taking care of him in the, not taking care of, but I'm not supporting him in that way anymore. I'm focusing on myself and I feel immense amounts of shame at times because of that. Because I've dedicated so much of myself throughout my life to others and to taking care of everyone but me. Yeah. So I've dealt with a lot of shame. A couple of, I think I had one, no, just one little kind of panic about the shame. I actually had to have my husband come in, and I actually had to ask him, like, am I a good partner? And of course, being my husband and being the person who loves me most in this world, uh, he of course said, yes, you're a fantastic partner. What makes you think you're not? And then I had to explain, obviously, the shame I was feeling from doing things to take care of myself. So the other trigger that I dealt with a lot this week is the high gym attendance because it is January. I, as my husband and my therapist have helped me kind of figure out, I have really, really bad, I have a really bad form of anxiety that is linked to being observed. I have started to call it observance anxiety. Um, I lose my shit when there are a lot of people around to see me attempt to do something. Like the best example I can give is I don't go outside to take care of my own front yard because I get so anxious at even the thought of my neighbors observing me doing something to my yard. I get so like if I have to take the garbage out, I literally run to the can and run back. I do not want anyone to see me. And mind you, I don't know my neighbors. I know the couple who lives next door. That is it. And they know my husband more than me. I don't speak to any of my neighbors, but I am in a constant state of terror that they are thinking and talking about me because they've seen me do something. That is the kind of shit that happens to me at the gym. When the gym is overly crowded, I get so stuck in, well, while I'm on the treadmill, I'm observing them and I'm critiquing them and thinking about, like, oh, that, like, especially during the January when all these newbies don't know what the hell they're doing are in the gym. I'm observing them. That's what I do because I don't have any blinders. Like, I have a hat, but I don't have any blinders, so I'm just looking around the whole time I'm on the treadmill, and I have those thoughts. So in my brain thinks, well, if you're thinking that, they're definitely thinking that and watching you while you're doing your stuff. And the observance anxiety kicks in majorly with that thought because I don't want to be observed doing this thing that I could potentially be doing wrong and having someone else think I'm doing it wrong. Mind you, these are complete strangers. I literally do not speak to anyone at the gym. I do not, unless my brother or my husband is with me. No one speaks to me. I have my earbuds in, my hat is on. I try and be as blinded as possible. But there's still that voice in the back of my head that's like, they're observing you. They're watching you. You're doing that fucking wrong. You look like a fat cow. And it's debilitating. That's what happened last past Monday. It was so busy when I walked in at 8:30 at night. I got on that treadmill. I sat there and did my mile on the treadmill, and the entire time I was on that treadmill, I was anxious. And by the time that I was 2 or 3 minutes away from being done, I literally was like, I can't do this. I cannot work out with all of these people around me, all these people observing me, especially because that plan I had for that day was very, like, freeform cable heavy, and I already have massive amounts of anxiety around cable machine. So the fact that it wasn't like controlled machine centered, that routine, I was like, I can't. So I literally did my treadmill and then I fucking left. And I got in my car, and the moment I left that parking lot, I started to bawl my eyes out because my brain was literally telling me, despite the fact that I on the same day got myself out of a scroll hole, got myself to the gym, dressed and to the gym, did a whole mile on the treadmill, but my brain was still telling me, you're a failure. You failed. You're a failure. You're a failure. You should have you didn't do your routine at all. You're a fucking failure. So I had to spend the entire 5-10 minute drive home crying and telling myself, chanting over and over to myself, I am not a failure. I am not a failure. I am not a failure. Something is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. You're not a failure. You're not a failure. The anxiety is lying. It's a lie. I literally chanted this to myself over the entire drive. From the moment I left that gym parking lot to the moment I parked my car in my driveway. And I cried the whole time. And then I got in my house, put my shit down, and went straight to my husband's office and proceeded to cry and scream, "I am not a failure. I'm not a failure. I am not a failure," over and over and over again, just to really hammer it home and to tell the anxiety demon to fuck off. Because it was real bad. It was real bad. I have that you're a failure thought happens a lot for me, but it was really, really loud that night. Really, really loud. Because it's not like I didn't go. Like, it would have been there if I had not gone. But the fact that I went and did that mile and it still was there and it was being so much louder than if I hadn't gone was bullshit. It was such bullshit. So I had my nice little cry. I'm getting a little teary because it was really hard. That night was really hard. And I had my little cry. My husband helped me reaffirm that I'm not a failure. Something is better than nothing. The anxiety is lying. And that helped. It didn't help enough to make me go the next day, but I mean, I didn't sleep that night. Like, it fucked with me. It really did fuck with me. And it was really difficult. I went to work Wednesday. I did my thing Wednesday. Had my rest day. And then Thursday, I went in and I hit hard. I really did. And the gym was there was less people, so that helps. I also went later. Like, I think Monday I went around 8 o'clock. I went around 8:30 on Thursday, and that seemed to help big time. I was like, so much so that I was able to use the new supine chest press machine. I was able to sit in front of the big mirror, the main big mirror in the actual gym, and do my chest flies and do my barbell upright rows. By the time I literally got finished with my like getting there at 8:30, by the time I finished my cardio and my stretching, the gym was like empty. And it was so nice because I could just do what I needed to do, blast what I needed to blast in my ears, and just get it done. And I did. So much so that my upright rows went up by 10 pounds. I had to decrease my dumbbell fly, but that's because I killed myself with the chest press. I think I upped my chest press by like 10 pounds. I left that gym dying. My shoulders are still hurting. They will be hurting probably for 3 more days. But that's okay. And Friday was lower body day. Yesterday was lower body day, and that was great. Like, where the whole workout was great, which was good because yesterday work sucked. It sucked so badly. I was so high stress and anxious the entire day that when my husband, so fun fact, my husband and I work for the same company. So we carpool to work, and we both got in the car, but we both got in the car, and I attempted to do the exhale and scream, didn't do it very well. So I ended up just screaming and hurting his ears. So I do apologize for that. But I screamed and then cried because I'd been keeping the anxiety breakdown or panic breakdown in check all day because I didn't want my team to see me have a panic attack at work again. So that was really hard, but I'm really glad that I went to the gym after that because I was able to, again, headphones in and just kick ass. Leg day always seems to be the day where I'm just like, feel my most powerful. I don't know why. It just does. It is the exercise that makes me feel like I can do anything. It's why lower body day is my favorite. The past week was hard. Was hard. But I had the highs. Like yeah, the week sucked, but I got to buy new pants. I have all these non-scale victories that are worth celebrating. All I can really say is I'm not a failure. You are not a failure. The anxiety demon is lying to me and you. And I hope that for somebody hearing about my anxiety in the form of anxiety that I have to deal with, I hope that helps. I don't feel like observance anxiety is really a thing that people talk about, which is why I made this podcast. It's part of why, because I don't feel represented, so I want to be that representation for somebody else. I hope that helped. Okay, on that note, that's all I got. So I guess I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.